Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make roasted vegetables perfect every single time, and it's so easy. Now, when it comes to roasting vegetables, there are two camps that people fall into. One camp believes in throwing all of your vegetables on a sheet pan with some sort of neutral oil like canola or rice oil, maybe some salt and pepper, and just throwing them in the oven, and that works. That does produce good roasted vegetables. However, I am in the other camp. And in my opinion, to get really good roasted vegetables, you have to do one thing, and that is to lightly coat each vegetable piece in the oil. And this technique works for any vegetable that you want to roast. Broccoli, Brussels sprouts, carrots, potatoes, sweet potatoes, onions, bell peppers, zucchini, eggplant, you name it. It works with everything. So why do I like to do this? Because when you lightly coat each piece of vegetable in the oil, you get an even cook. All of the pieces of vegetables are going to be tender, crisp, and flavorful from start to finish. Whereas if you were to throw them on a sheet pan and just kind of toss them around, you're going to end up with some pieces being overcooked and some pieces being undercooked. You'll get some crispy pieces and then some pieces that are just kind of raw and not tender. So it just doesn't give you that beautiful, perfect roasted vegetable that I'm about to show you here. I also like to add a little bit of acid. I'm talking about lemon juice or vinegar, either white vinegar or apple cider vinegar. And you could use red wine vinegar. My favorite is apple cider vinegar, and we're only going to use a little bit. It's just going to brighten up the flavors of the vegetables. It's going to cut through some of the richness of the olive oil and just make these vegetables sing. And lastly, we're going to season with some salt and pepper. Now for the salt, I like to use kosher salt because it's less salty than table salt. It has larger grains, so it just dissolves more easily and it gives you better texture. And then for the pepper, I'm using freshly cracked black pepper. If you've never done this before, you're missing out. Freshly cracked black pepper has so much more flavor and aroma than the pre-ground black pepper that you buy in the little shaker bottles. Alright, so let's get started. We're going to start by prepping our vegetables. So I've got a large russet potato here. I'm just going to scrub that and then I'm going to cut it into 1-inch cubes. Same thing with this sweet potato. I'm just going to cut it into 1-inch cubes. Next, grab a large bowl, add your cubed potatoes and sweet potatoes, and then add a couple tablespoons of olive oil. We're going to use about half of the olive oil that I have in this little bottle. And then I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. And then I am just going to use this spatula and mix them together until the potatoes are coated with the olive oil and the vinegar. Next, get yourself a sheet pan. I like to use a sheet pan with an edge because it helps contain all the juices from the vegetables while they re-roasting. And then I'm going to add a little bit more olive oil, just enough to lightly coat the bottom of the pan, and then I'm going to spread it out using a paper towel. Next, add your vegetables in a single layer. Make sure that they're not overcrowded. If you crowd the pan, the vegetables will steam instead of roast. And we don't want that. We want that nice crispy texture. So make sure you have enough space between each piece of vegetable. And then we're going to season with salt and pepper to taste. Use about 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, and then about 1/2 teaspoon of freshly cracked black pepper. You can always add more after you taste them, but it's easier to add more salt and pepper at the end than it is to take salt and pepper away from the beginning. And then roast this in a preheated oven to 425 degrees for about 25 to 30 minutes, or until the vegetables are tender and slightly caramelized. To make sure that they're tender, all you have to do is insert a fork into the largest piece of vegetable, and if it goes in easily, you're good to go. While the vegetables are roasting, go ahead and prep your other vegetables. As you saw earlier, I'm making broccoli and carrot ribbons. And if you want to see how to do that, you can check out my other videos. Once your first set of vegetables are done, go ahead and add the other vegetables to the sheet pan. Give everything a toss and then continue roasting for another 15 to 20 minutes. Again, you want to make sure that everything is tender and slightly caramelized. When they're done, you can serve them immediately. This is what perfect roasted vegetables looks like. Can you see how beautifully caramelized these potatoes are? And the sweet potatoes are no exception. They're soft, they're fluffy, they're sweet, and they're perfectly seasoned. The broccoli is nice and tender with a slight bite to it, and the carrots are incredibly sweet and vibrant. This is such an easy side dish that you can make for any meal. It's great with chicken, steak, pork, fish. It's also great served alongside of your favorite protein smoothie. And I guarantee that if you make this, your family and friends are going to be asking for seconds.